"You're not man enough for me, Ethan. My brother gives me what you can't." Those were the last words my wife whispered before walking out of our home, hand in hand with my own brother. She thought she'd humiliated me. What she didn't know was that every step she took toward him was a move I'd already planned for. By the time she filed for divorce, I'd turned her betrayal into the perfect trap, one that would leave them both begging for mercy in court. Viewers, tell me, if your spouse and your own sibling betrayed you like that, would you forgive, or would you make them pay? Subscribe, like, comment and watch till the ending to share this interesting story to family and friends. I'll never forget the sound of her laughter. It was light, breathless, the kind of laugh that used to belong to me. But that night, standing in the hallway of my own home, it didn't. The bedroom door was slightly open, just enough for me to see everything. My brother's back, her hands around him, the sheets moving like waves, and her voice, that voice I'd memorized, whispering, "He could never satisfy me, Ryan. You're everything he's not." I didn't move. I didn't shout. I just stood there watching the two people I trusted most burn everything we'd built. My pulse slowed. My chest tightened. It wasn't rage, not yet. It was something colder, quieter. I could hear Ryan's low laugh, cocky, familiar. He'd always had that tone, the one that made people believe him even when he lied. He was my younger brother, but he'd lived his whole life like the world owed him something. Vanessa used to say she pitied him. I believed her. Now I understood she admired him. When they were done, I stepped away before they could see me. I walked into the living room and sat down, my mind completely still. Everything around me, the hum of the refrigerator, the flicker of the fireplace, felt like part of a scene I wasn't supposed to be in anymore. I thought about the day I introduced them. It was at our wedding 3 years ago. Ryan had been my best man, flashing his usual charm. Vanessa looked stunning that night, shimmering in white, promising forever. I caught her looking at Ryan once during the dance, but I brushed it off. He was family. She was my wife. What could go wrong? Now I had my answer. But instead of confronting them, I waited. I needed clarity before vengeance. I needed understanding before war. So I sat there until I heard the creak of the door, the soft footsteps of betrayal moving down the hallway, and the quiet closing of the guest room door. She didn't even return to our bed. That was when I knew this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was routine. Practiced. Hidden in plain sight. I poured myself a drink. The whiskey burned down my throat, grounding me back in my body. And then I whispered aloud, barely a sound. "You think I don't satisfy you? Fine. Let's see what satisfaction costs." The next morning, I smiled at her like nothing had happened. I made coffee, kissed her forehead, and asked how she slept. She lied easily. And I smiled back because she didn't know she had just written her own ending. The morning after, I played my role perfectly. Vanessa smiled at me over breakfast, pretending she wasn't sleeping with my brother behind my back. I poured her coffee, pretending I wasn't planning her destruction behind my smile. She asked about work, the usual small talk, soft and calculated. I told her the company was thriving. I didn't mention that I'd quietly shifted ownership of some assets overnight, transferring small pieces to my name alone. It was easy to do. I built the business from the ground up. She never cared enough to understand how it ran, just that the lifestyle it gave her stayed comfortable. I watched her fingers, manicured, tapping against the mug, the same fingers that touched Ryan. A small twitch of disgust crossed my face, but I disguised it with a grin. "You look tired," I said. She smirked. "Rough night, maybe?" That was the moment I knew she wanted me to suspect. Maybe she thought it would make me jealous, keep her power. But she underestimated me. The rest of the day I worked like a machine. My office was my sanctuary. The employees greeted me with the usual respect, unaware that beneath my calm expression was a storm. I started documenting everything: financial records, private messages, company transactions. I hired an old friend, Mason, a private investigator I'd helped years ago. "Mason," I said over the phone that night, "I need eyes on Vanessa and Ryan." Discreetly. He didn't ask questions. He never did. "You'll have what you need." That night I lay beside her in bed. She faced away from me, breathing steadily, pretending to sleep. I watched the glow of the city lights through the window and thought about all the nights I'd stayed late working just to make her dreams real. And now those dreams were shared with my brother. But I wasn't broken. I was calculating. Before sleep claimed me, I whispered to the ceiling, "You wanted ambition, Vanessa? You'll see it now." It's strange how betrayal makes you remember things differently. I started seeing the cracks I used to ignore, moments that once felt innocent but now carried new meaning. Like the Christmas party 2 years ago. Ryan had come late, reeking of expensive cologne that wasn't his. Vanessa had spent the evening laughing at his jokes, brushing her hair behind her ear every time he spoke. I'd noticed it back then, but I told myself I was overthinking. Now I saw it clearly. That was the night it began. Mason's first report came 3 days later. He was efficient. Photos, timestamps, hotel receipts. They weren't even trying to hide. Ryan used one of his old business contacts to book rooms under fake names. Vanessa had met him twice a week for nearly 3 months. I stared at the pictures for hours. Each image felt like a blade, but I didn't bleed, I sharpened. Ryan had always been envious of me. When we were kids, I was the achiever, the one who fixed things, who got the grades, who started a company. Ryan wanted results without effort. Our father used to say, Ethan builds, Ryan borrows. Now Ryan had borrowed my wife. Vanessa once told me she married me because I made her feel safe. She used to trace circles on my hand and whisper, "You'll never let me fall." I guess safety bored her. That night, I sat at my desk, opened a blank document, and began outlining my revenge. It wasn't rage that guided me, it was structure. Logic. The same discipline that built my empire would now destroy theirs. Step 1. Make them comfortable. Step 2. Make them trust me again. Step 3. Take everything. 2 weeks later, I invited Ryan to dinner. Vanessa looked startled when I mentioned it. Dinner? With Ryan? She said, forcing a smile. Yeah, I replied casually. We haven't hung out in a while. I want things to feel normal again. She hesitated, then nodded. That's good, Ethan. That night, when Ryan walked in, he looked nervous at first. But whiskey has a way of easing tension. By the second glass, he was laughing again, telling me about new business ideas. Ideas that sounded suspiciously like mine. Vanessa cooked, moving gracefully, pretending to be the perfect wife. The way they avoided each other's eyes was almost theatrical. I joined the act. Ryan, I said, clinking glasses, you've always had potential. Maybe it's time I bring you into the company. He froze mid-sip. Really? Really? Families should stick together. Vanessa's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. She didn't speak, but her eyes flickered with unease. They didn't know it, but I had already rewritten the company's trust documents. Any partner who engaged in conduct damaging to the firm could be legally removed. And all my conversations were now recorded. After dinner, I shook Ryan's hand and said, "Let's build something great." He smiled like a child offered candy. I smiled like a man digging a grave. Over the next month, I made Ryan part of my inner circle. I gave him access to company meetings, introduced him to clients, even let him make decisions. He was thrilled, thought I was finally recognizing his worth. Vanessa began acting differently. She grew cautious, distant. She must have sensed the shift in the air, that quiet warning before a storm. I started staying late at the office again, but this time I wasn't working. I was baiting them. I left subtle clues, a forgotten jacket, a misplaced note, my phone accidentally unlocked on the counter. Each one made Vanessa more careless. Mason fed me updates like clockwork. Then one night she made her move. I came home early. The lights were dim. The faint sound of laughter echoed from the study. I opened the door and found them together again, this time on my desk. Ryan froze. Vanessa gasped. I didn't yell. I just stared. You really couldn't wait, huh? Vanessa stammered. Ethan, it's not. Save it, I cut her off. You wanted ambition. Watch carefully. I walked out, calm as ever, leaving them scrambling. What they didn't know was that every camera in the house had been recording for weeks. 2 months later, Vanessa filed for divorce. Her lawyer demanded half of everything, the company, the house, my savings. She even claimed emotional distress. Her final words to me during mediation were cold and cruel. I'm going to destroy you in court, Ethan. Half of everything you've built will be mine by Christmas. I smiled. You're overestimating your share. The day of the hearing arrived. She walked in wearing white. Irony wasn't lost on me. Ryan sat behind her, smug, certain they'd won. Then the judge called my name. My lawyer stood, calm and ready. We presented the footage. Every encounter. Every whispered betrayal. Every transaction where Ryan had illegally accessed company funds through her. The room fell silent. Vanessa's face drained of color. Ryan's jaw dropped. The judge looked at them both with disgust. Mrs. Cole, you have no legal claim to these assets. In fact, you and Mr. Cole may face charges for fraud. That was the moment she broke. Her voice cracked. Ethan, please? I didn't look at her. You said I wasn't ambitious enough, remember? Consider this my career highlight. In the weeks that followed, everything fell apart for them. Ryan was arrested for embezzlement. Vanessa lost her settlement, her reputation, her home. I read about it in the papers. Businessman exposes family betrayal in corporate scandal. The world pitied me. They called me resilient. But pity was unnecessary. I didn't feel broken. Just empty. One night she showed up at my office. No makeup. No pretense. Just tears. "Ethan, I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to lose you. I just wanted more." I studied her for a long time. "You didn't lose me, Vanessa. You lost yourself." She broke down, sobbing into her hands. I almost felt something, almost. Then I walked past her, leaving her in the hallway. Revenge doesn't heal. It only empties you in cleaner lines. My company grew stronger after they were gone. But the silence at home felt heavier. Sometimes I replayed those early days, her laugh, her hand on mine, the dreams we shared before ambition poisoned them. I didn't forgive her. I didn't hate her either. She became a story I'd tell myself at night, a warning about trust and about how love can rot quietly behind closed doors. Ryan never called again. He served time. Vanessa moved away. And me? I rebuilt harder and sharper. One evening as I watched the city lights from my office window, Mason called. "You got what you wanted," he said. "You good now?" I thought for a moment. Good? No. But finished. A year later I saw Vanessa again, at a charity gala. She was thinner, fragile, almost unrecognizable. She saw me too. Walked over slowly, hesitant. "Ethan." "Vanessa. I heard you're engaged." "I am." She smiled sadly. "She's lucky." I nodded. "No, just honest." She reached out as if to touch my hand but stopped midway. "I deserved everything, didn't I?" I met her gaze. "You didn't deserve the pain. But you earned the consequences." Then I walked away, leaving her standing under the chandelier's light, alone, like a ghost of my past. I drove home that night in silence. My fiancée Claire was waiting, gentle, kind, nothing like Vanessa. When she asked how the gala went, I just said, "It reminded me how far I've come." Later, as I lay in bed, I thought about that night when I first heard Vanessa's laughter echoing down the hall. How that sound broke me, then built me again. I whispered to myself, "You said I wasn't ambitious enough." A smile crossed my face. "Now you know what ambition looks like." And with that, I turned off the lights, not in vengeance this time but in peace. Subscribe, like, comment and share for more interesting stories.